Okay, now we're going to want to talk about if I can get it right here, the PlayStation 2. Yes, this is considered the best-selling game console of all time, and this game console was definitely is what you consider a true next-gen system. Now, this PlayStation model right here is a PX model. The original PlayStation models, the PlayStation 2 models that came out and launched, were the PT models. The PT models had problems with the disc reader and stuff, and after a while they didn't work that great, and you couldn't play the Blue Bomb discs anymore and stuff like that. And of course,
well, the CD, well, the blue discs, they're actually the CDs.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, and this is the small one, which came out in 2005, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, which was actually the PlayStation 2 that I actually first got, except for the fact that it was mod chipped, you know, because I wanted to play. Well, yeah, I actually had to do it. Well.
Yeah, but getting back on track here. I remember on Christmas Eve of the year 2000, there was this big box that was like in the middle of our. We would open, like when I was younger, we would get to open up like at least one or two presents before Santa came and stuff. Of course, but that's when I believed in Santa Claus back then. And we get this blue box, and it said PlayStation 2 on it. And it turns out a family friend of ours found it where she was staying at the time. She wasn't living in Indiana at the time, and that's how we got our PlayStation 2. And the very first game I ever played for it was Tekken Tag Tournament, which was a port of an arcade game,
and which was also a PlayStation launch title. It was actually the interesting thing about Tekken Tag Tournament that in Europe it carried the serial SCES 5001. Except that this wasn't actually the first PlayStation 2 game ever released. The very first PlayStation 2 game that came out was Ridge Racer 5.
Yes,
which carried
Ridge Racer 5.
The serial SCES 50,000, which, of course, it starts at 0. And that was in Europe.
Well, I mean, like, back in the day when it came to, like, a Sony console, they had a Ridge Racer game came out with it, for launch. Like, you had Ridge Racer 1, and then you had Ridge Racer 5 for the PS2 that came out at launch, and that's basically what it was. But what made this thing revolutionary was the design looked sweet, which I know you don't that's design, but this was the first video game console to play DVDs. Yes, you could play DVDs in this thing.
And so speaking of DVDs, did you know that you could also use this as a DVD player? Devils as a DVD player that you can watch DVD films on it?
Yeah, so like those of you who didn't have enough money to buy a DVD player, now you could have played the DVDs in your video game console, and that was badass in my opinion. And I remember like the games I got for the system were Tekken Tag Tournament, Time Splitters, Smuggler's Run, Summoner, and I think that was all of them. I mean, we may have got a couple more, but then. Because this was the same year I was introduced to Gran Turismo and stuff, but like then we got Gran Turismo 3 later on, Turismo Black, and this game had a lot of nice exclusives here. I mean, this game had Red Faction, it had Sky Odyssey, Smuggler's Run 2, Hostile Territory, it had Summoner 1 and 2, it had Time Splitters, and then SSX. I forgot to mention no one had SSX Snowboarding, or what they call it, SSX Tricky, SSX 3. And this was definitely the go-to system, and it also had ports of PlayStation games for the PS2 with better graphics stuff. Like you had Rayman 2 Revolution, you had Army Men Such as Heroes 2, Army Men Air Attack 2, Army Men Green Rogue, and like so on. Like this is the thing. This is the first time I've ever heard about games being released on the PlayStation being also released on the PS2, but in better quality and stuff. And of course, as you can see here, this is the controller that came with it. It's like it's just like the analog controller on the PS1, except for this one's black and has a longer cord.
And it is called the DualShock 2.
Yeah. And you can also use these for your PS1 stuff. You can also use those
as a nice replacement for your other PlayStation 1 controller.
Yes, and I gotta think of course, like I did just remember like being amazed, like when I plugged in Tekken Tag Tournament and saw how great the graphics looked and stuff like that. I was like, whoa! I mean, and I was like, my dad was like, "Since look, guys, got better graphics, and you can use had it came with its own PlayStation remote to like watch DVDs and stuff." and it had like bigger memory card space too. Like you had like 8 megabyte memory cards, and you can get mega ones too. Like I have a 128 megabyte memory card. I can hold all my shit on there. I can hold all my shit.
Except that it's not a really good idea to have this, because there's certain games like Resident Evil 4, which of course would corrupt your memory card, unless you do save it on an original 8 megabyte memory card like I do these days.
I haven't had a problem with that yet, but knock on wood that it doesn't happen. But I remember, like, yeah, and then we also had the port of Resident Evil Code Veronica as well. We're called Code Veronica X. And
oh yeah, that's another thing we want to mention. There are actually games that were on the Dreamcast, which there is actually a couple of them. You had Rez, Headhunter, Space Channel 5, and Echo the Dolphin, Defenders of the Future.
Oh man!
And
oh,
Crazy
yes,
Taxi.
Oh yes, I remember them. Like I know, like some of the ports were not as good as the Dreamcast port, but this was a chance for people who didn't own a Dreamcast, who owned a PlayStation 2, to have these games. And this was definitely perfectly the way to go. I mean, of course, like then later on we had the GameCube, and then we had the Xbox, but the PS2 beat the Xbox and GameCube by a long shot. I mean, like this game sold so many. I forget the exact number of consoles this bad boy sold, but it had a lot of consoles sold. And even though the ones at first were all faulty with the distributor drives, stuff like that, but they fixed themselves with the PX models here. It's the same size, it's different console. The only way to know you're getting a PX model is if you look at the bar sticker on the back here. Because I didn't realize this about the bar sticker until later on, and I was like, okay, I did not know that, and thank God I knew about that. And this is my original one as well. Like you see, it's a little dusty and stuff. And of course, it had some stickers on it that I was able that I peeled off, and they're called gamer graphics and stuff. I peeled them off because I don't want the stickers on my console. I like it nice the way it is. And I have to mention this is the first DVD console to have a sliding disc tray. That's actually cool because you don't have to worry about actually touching that little blue ball that can wreck in the system that can affect your console, and that was cool. Too bad Junior here didn't have it. Hey, who you call Junior? I'm a PS2 as well. Yeah, be quiet. We're talking look at you there.
Except that the Junior actually has a fault. There's actually a fault to the PS2 Slim. This game, the PS2 Slim can actually scratch your discs. Like I actually had it on some occasions.
Well, I didn't have that problem, so I really can't. So I really don't have it because I didn't really have that problem, so I really can't say anything. But like if you have a working fine PX model, then you don't have to get the Slim. But usually a lot of people want the Slim because it's smaller and more durable, and they say it's better and such. When I really did not notice the difference because like it's strong, because like they're both the same. Just maybe it's worth a little bit better because it's smaller and it was released in 2005 here and stuff. But I remember I got that one in 2006 because the 2005 ones when those devices were very hard to find. I didn't think I'd ever find them. I first learned about those small ones when watching G4. I think it was show it they were talking about icons or something. That's pretty much how I remember it. But let's say that this console lasted from 2001 till about, we'll say, 2009, we'll say.
2014.
They stopped making making the games and stuff like for them around 2009, but like it had a good lifespan till about that time, 2014, we'll say, and the last games that were actually released for the PlayStation 2 were actually FIFA and PAS. Yeah, I remember like there were also some games coming out still coming out for the PS2 and the PS3 was on its way, like Rule of Rose, which is one of the most obscure games ever.
Yeah, and one of the rarest games as well.
And I actually own a copy of it, so yay me, I guess, which I will review in the future and stuff. And I really don't have much else to say about the PlayStation 2, except for I can say that it was an excellent console. Sure, I mean, like it had some faults in the beginning, but then again, Sony fixed them up by releasing a better, more durable version of the original PS2. And that's something you don't see nowadays when it comes to gaming. They'll just rush a console out the door and they'll have problems like, perfect example, the Xbox 360 and the red ring of death, and the Xbox One and the red light of death and stuff. And yeah. But this, and like, before we even, I'll talk a little bit about my PS2 Slim here. As you can see, this is like the size of a book. You can carry it in one hand, you can take it wherever you want, and you can pack it anywhere. Hell, like, as you can see here, this was made in 2005. It's got 2 ports and stuff, and yeah. And like, I'm gonna quote A.V. Jen again from his Philips CDI review, you can fit this small one inside this big one, and you got father and son. And yeah, we got father and son. Yeah, we pretty much had a lifelong lifespan, huh, Junior? And yeah, Dad, you can say that again. We had a long lifespan, but now our time is up because in 2006, 2007. We had a newborn, and we had a new person come into the family, a PS3, which we will talk about some other time, obviously, because we only wanted to talk about the PS1, PS2, because these consoles were out in our childhood and stuff, and
well, except the fact that from the early to mid 2000s, I never owned a PlayStation 2, which means that I did miss out on quite a lot of games, unfortunately, but there were actually games that I played on the PC that were on the PlayStation 2. One perfect example is the legendary video game series that was made popular on the PlayStation 2, in which I played the PC version of, which was Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, the legendary sandbox game. I can't believe I got to mention that one with Grand Theft Vice City, and then this was before they all came on the Xbox and stuff. But yeah, I remember. Grand Theft Auto was very controversial because it's the first sandbox game where you stole cars and stuff like that. And I remember getting the game at Walmart because like I made the honor roll, and once I made the honor roll, I was rewarded with getting a game, getting a new video game, and I ended up getting Grand Theft Auto 3. And when my dad was given, when my dad asked for it, the woman at work at the Walmart was saying, this game is very controversial. It teaches you bad stuff like car stealing. I just say I need to see your I need to see an ID and stuff like that. And of course, me being 13, I would and me knowing that stealing was bad and stuff like that, I would never steal a car, obviously.
Well, then again, video games actually learn you about not to do stuff in the real world.
Well, yeah, the thing is that they took it off the shelves and stuff like that, and the game got banned in Australia as well. And I remember like Max Payne being taken off the shelf as well. But that's a whole story for a new day when we talk about when Toby and I may talk about the Grand Theft Auto series in the future. But that's in the future. But yeah, I just like I'm sorry. I feel like I'm 12 and 13 all over again, learning about all these games and stuff. It's like wow. And I've even got to mention, even had some very memorable platformers like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper, which all premiered in the PlayStation Heroes game on the PS3, and PlayStation Move Heroes on the game on the PS3. But like I should have mentioned those, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to stuff like this. So my final thoughts on the PS and the PlayStation 2 is an excellent console, way ahead of its time, with we're able to play DVDs and like excellent games with excellent graphics, and the fact that it was a very powerful system.
And the fact that you can play online with it.
Yeah,
a carryover from the Dreamcast.
Yeah, you get to play online, but I don't really play online much and stuff, and it was wired online, so it's not like how it's wireless like how it is nowadays. But yeah, like these two had a long lifespan. I give this it sure may have some flaws in the beginning, but they fixed them. So I give these two a perfect 10 as well. What would you give it, Toby?
I give it a perfect 10 as well for its amazing library.
Yes, lots of games for it. Lots of games. Very memorable games as well. Just a great console. But that's pretty much it for this. We will talk about the PS2, we talk about the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 soon, so be on the lookout for that. This is Tony, aka TTBurger, and Toby, aka Razorblade1812. Peace out, and have a great day, everybody. And remember, PlayStation.
Do not underestimate the power of PlayStation!
That's right. And that's pretty much all we gotta say. PlayStation, do not underestimate the power.
It's not a game.